another episode of Tiff Talks. And we have a really special guest today, my girlfriend, Inez Barberio, who is a speaker on mindset shifts, diversity and inclusion, and female empowerment, all through the foundation of emotional intelligence. In addition, she is a celebrity correspondent for Millennium Magazine, based out of New York City, and a contributing writer for New Jersey Lifestyle Magazine. Inez served as a New Jersey delegate for Drexel University's Vision Forward, the National Women's Equity Initiative, and introduced and taught the first emotional intelligence program at Stockton University. Inez believes in highlighting the strength of women and has made her own impact by creating and hosting Core Women's Network for the last 3 years in her home, and I've been to 2 of them. And I'm super proud to call her my girlfriend. Inez, welcome.
Thank you, Tiffany. Such an honor to be here.
I'm so happy to have you.
I'm so excited with your newest venture. This is amazing.
Thank you. So how did we meet? It was through Monica, right?
Yes, because my second Core Women's event was Monica. We were highlighting Monica because
she was the guest speaker,
right? The female builder. And she had put you on the guest list, and that's when we met. And I think the minute we met, we just totally clicked. And you were at my last event, which was this past Christmas.
Yes, we were both Mrs. Claus.
Yes, we were. I'm happy that you dressed up with me.
Yes, I love it. I love going to your house. It's beautiful. I love the people I meet there. It's been a great time. We've also had like a brunch at your house.
Oh, that's right. We had a little women's business brunch as well. I really like that event because I do handpick.
It was intimate.
Yeah, I try and make it intimate. I like to handpick the guests. I try and not, listen, I've spoken about this before. I don't want to sound like snobby about it, but it is in my home. Yeah. You know, it's in my home. I am funding it, and I want to make it special, and I realize how many incredible women I have in my life, and I want you guys to meet and use me as that, that contributing factor, like where you get to know one another. And
the common denominator.
There it is. Thank you.
I love that. Yeah, and I'm honored that you trust me to invite me to your home.
Yeah, thank you.
Multiple times.
Thank you for coming.
You're welcome. So tell us about who you are, like your upbringing. Where do you come from?
Okay. Well, my upbringing was extremely modest. I was poor, so my husband and I, we like to joke around and see who was more poor.
Who was more poor?
Yeah, like I was. When I showed him, like we went through the neighborhood of where I grew up, and I showed him the house, which is now torn down since I last shown him. He saw it, and he's like, oh, yeah, you're definitely
Where at?
In Barnegat, New Jersey.
Okay, yep.
But you know what? Honestly, I didn't feel like I was poor growing up. I did have a loving family. Even though my parents did divorce when I was 13, they still remained friends. And
that's great.
So I always had the love. They did the best they can. They had their issues too, but they did the best they can to make me feel loved still. So
that's where emotional intelligence began.
Well, it did without me knowing it, right? But because obviously being a teenager going through that, you go through different traumas and that you don't know that you're carrying, right? Yeah. And you put a lot of blame on your family for that as you get older. And so when I was always like that really good student in high school, straight A's, study, and I never got asked out on a date, right? It's like,
really?
Yeah, my son teases me. He's like, Mom, you were like voted best looking and prom queen. And he's like, don't give me this I'm a nerd story.
Right? I don't quite believe it.
Because I was always studying. I would study.
Oh, wow.
And then when I had my, a real serious boyfriend in my senior year in high school, I got pregnant after I graduated high school. So I was a single mom. And
it didn't last with him?
Well, we were together for 3 years. I don't want to get into the details of why things didn't work out.
You were young.
More so for the protection of my son, because when I had my firstborn, I was just so in love with him. I wanted to do everything I can to protect him. And I didn't want him to grow up in a bad environment. So some differences that I had with his father, I ended up leaving him. But he had that attitude well, out of sight, out of mind, and you're on your own. And I tried, going for child support and all that, never showed up in court. And I was just forget it. I don't even want you part of my life.
Wow.
So,
don't need him.
Yeah. So we were speaking earlier about welfare. So I'm I was a welfare mom. I moved back home. I was single. I had 1 year of college under me because I had dropped out of college when I got pregnant and went on welfare, but knew this isn't where I wanted to be.
Right.
So I was probably on welfare for about a year. And then I ended up working in the casino industry for a while. From there, I had a good job, benefits, but still I had like a lot of transitioning in my life. So just fast forward to I ended up going back to college. I went to NYU. I studied broadcast journalism, actually.
Oh, cool. Makes sense.
Right? And just wanted to make a better life for myself and my son. It wasn't easy. It really wasn't. I actually just wrote a post about this. You can't save yourself. You can't heal from trauma unless you face it and you go back.
Yeah.
And it's really difficult. I actually wrote a whole book.
It's painful.
It's painful.
Physically,
right,
mentally,
right?
spiritually.
Everything about it. I wrote this book. It's like a memoir of mine. And a friend of mine we were just talking about it. And
What's the title of the book?
I'm not ever going to release it.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not.
I want to read it.
And that was our conversation, because I said I don't want to hurt the people. I discussed all my traumas, right? These people are alive still. I don't want them reading it and feeling that pain. I felt a lot of pain writing it.
I have different opinions on that.
Well, he did too. He's pushing me. He's like, you need to publish this. You can help people.
Yeah.
Go. He's like, use a pen name, do this, do that. I'm like,
That's true.
I'm like, maybe, possibly. But I said, if anything, it was more like a therapy for me.
Yeah, and
to be able to get it out. And it took years and decades of self-reflection. So just fast forward to after I met my husband, Lou, which you met.
Yes, so cool.
And I was, after we got married, my son, when I was pregnant with Mateo, and my boys are 14 years apart. So when I was pregnant with Joey, was 13 at the time. And he was in high school, and he was going through difficult things, like fighting with who gets more attention. Is it Lou? Him, now a baby's coming. I was in the midst of working on my master's degree program at the time. I was studying child psychology, education, special ed. And during the child psychology courses, when it clicked, I was like, oh my goodness. I started really getting into human behavior. Just for my purpose of trying to figure out how to manage my life with Joey and Lou, because those two were fighting every day.
Aww.
They were the most difficult 4 years of my life, because I was stuck in the middle. At the same time, by the time Mateo was born, I have an infant and two men in my life that were just miserable with each other.
Oh, wow.
So I really got into human behavior to save my family, basically.
Wow.
And that's what I did. And that's when I started really studying it. Before I understood what emotional intelligence was. I didn't really get into emotional intelligence until 2016. And that's when I feel that emotional intelligence saved my life, because I was still holding on to different traumas and different things would trigger me, and I wouldn't understand why. And when I really dove deep in emotional intelligence, I was like,
What was the pivotal moment, and what happened in 2016?
2016, I met my mentor. You might know her, Jen Groover.
Yes.
Okay.
Wow.
So I had taken her course to get accredited into emotional intelligence. I was like, oh, this is interesting. So I was so interested in human behavior, and I was obsessed with it. And she's like, Inez, you're really good. You should start speaking. And I'm like, no. I'm like, no, I'm an introvert now. And she's like, no, you really should. So she kind of helped me, and I started doing little local speaking engagement, and it just kind of built. But from that, I started teaching my son, the younger one. So if he's like an old soul, this child, he uses it on me. If I'm upset about something, he'll be like, Mom, you need to look at different perspectives.
You're like, damn it, you're right.
Right.
Who taught you that?
Right. It's so funny. And then my older one was getting his master's degree at Cornell, and
Cornell.
Yeah, our first Ivy League in our family. And I love to say, I'm from single welfare mom to my son, who is an Ivy League grad.
That's beautiful.
And they required emotional intelligence as one of the courses to take. So I was everything was just falling into place as it should.
That's beautiful.
And I just I love helping people. I will do this for free any time of the day, because I just really enjoy, I know what I went through. I knew the pain that I carried for decades, and I knew that it's possible to heal from it. And once you finally learn to heal from it, I have family members are still carrying their traumas.
Yeah, same.
Right?
Same.
You can't heal them. They have to be willing to do it and put the work in themselves.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I really put the work in for, it wasn't like, 2016, I got accredited and bing, I was cured. Right. No, I still get triggered over things. However, I just know how to manage it better now and understand where it's coming from. And every day, it's like the 1% rule. I just, strive to get 1% better every day.
I love that.
Yeah.
Same. So what do you teach at schools? Like, how was your course at Stockton? What is
Stockton reached out to me because they heard about the emotional intelligence and they wanted a program there. So I taught an adult only course. And I focus more so on the business aspect because so many people are so focused on the hard skill sets, but anybody could learn a hard skill set. You can learn how to do something. They turn away from the soft skill set a lot. And, they're more open to it now, but people still are like, whatever, that doesn't work and that's silly. Right. But it does. And I teach them, when you learn how to communicate more effectively, when you learn to optimize your own health, when you learn how to build relationships, when you learn empathy skills, right? So I just said my CORE.
Oh, yes.
Right? That turns into profits too. Mm-hmm. If you build a more healthy culture in the workforce, people will respect you more when you learn how to be a more effective leader, a leader with empathy skills. It's not saying, you're not using it. Some people think you get taken advantage of, but no, if you learn how to use it properly, if it's sincere, if you're sincerely caring for an employee or partner, they're going to know it.
Yeah.
And
they're going to feel it.
Exactly.
They want to feel appreciated.
Exactly.
And that's what builds really happy employees. Doesn't even matter how much they get paid sometimes, but if they feel good and appreciate it, they'll stay. And
if you feel, you want people that you can trust too, and you're building that level of trust with the other person. And, I've been in so many different jobs in my life.
What was the worst job?
Calvin Klein.
Oh, really?
Yes, I was an account executive. Well, I was an account executive for Calvin Klein in New York City. I had the worst vice president who oversaw us. He was just, it's a sales position. People think it was all fancy. I did men's and women's underwear. It was kind of odd when we went to when they would do the new line and there's young boys wearing modeling their underwear.
Really?
And I'm like,
that's so
weird. This is odd. But so obviously it was our goal was just to meet our numbers. That was it. There was
no EQ there.
None. Zero. No support. Back then I dealt with, harassment from my manager, and I was young. I was in my 20s, so I didn't really know how to manage it at that time. Now I'm like, I'll never get away with that anymore.
Right.
But it was so stressful because every Tuesday we had that call. The sales call with the entire team throughout the whole country. And if you weren't making your numbers, he'll be dropping the F-bomb on you, just ridiculing you in front of the whole entire team. Everything opposite of emotional intelligence.
Right.
I lasted there for a year. I couldn't. My husband, we were just dating at the time. He's like, if you don't quit, we're not gonna last because I was miserable.
Yeah.
The money was really good, but it was not worth I was getting ulcers, my health.
Really?
It was terrible. Too much stress.
People don't realize what stress does to the body.
Oh my goodness, it does.
Really makes you sick.
It's the number one killer.
And same with trauma. If people don't really worry about their own mental health, I mean, that can create cancer in your body.
Without a doubt. I mean, my mother she has all these different ailments. She has a pacemaker. She has low white blood cell count. She's got Sjogren's disease. She's got one thing after another, but she has such a positive mindset. Oh, yeah? You would not think she's sick. I'm like, oh, wow, it's amazing she's alive.
Yeah.
Because she's just happy.
That's wonderful.
And just okay, I'm just going to live my life and do the best I can. So I think she's healing herself a lot just from her positive thoughts.
That's amazing.
And, just when you have negative thoughts, how quickly could that bring you down?
Yeah.
Really bad.
Yeah. And then your life just becomes negative. You just start attracting more of those vibrations.
And unfortunately, we're just seeing more and more of that.
Exactly. Which is why I started this, and which is why people like you are so important to highlight, because people need to see, what the opposite.
Yeah. I mean, I
was speaking out.
When I was in my 20s, I was just not in a good place. Being a single mother, not being financially stable, living back at home. I didn't want to be back at home with my parents. In and out of toxic relationships with men, just, chasing after men that were wrong for me.
And what do you think the reason was?
Because of my own, I had no self-worth, insecure. With when my parents divorced, it was my mother who left. So feeling unloved, and my dad just trying to do whatever he can to play both roles. But as a teenage girl, you need your mother, and then my brother kind of like shut down. He's 3 years younger than me. I mean, to this day, he still hasn't dealt with his. Really? I try to speak to him about it, right. But it's just like he's still so close-minded, and it's sad to see.
That is sad.
Yeah.
So when did you start seeing your worth?
When I was 40.
Really?
Like really accepting it. I saw it because a lot of my speaking engagements, I talk about, relationship building and your worth. And when I discussed all the different toxic relationships that I've had, I felt that's all I was worth. And then when I started dating Lou, I still didn't feel I was worthy of him.
Wow.
Like, he was a really, really good person to me. He accepted Joey was 7 at the time when they met. So he accepted Joey as his son, like right away. They bonded. He used to always joke around like, oh, I'm dating you because I like hanging out with Joey. And like he really made him feel included, never like an outsider. Nice. And I would always question, like, why is he being so nice? Why is he so good to me?
Right.
And I was
maybe
like,
because you deserved it.
Right, but I didn't see that in me. And I was
Right.
reluctant. I mean, we dated for 5 years. I was still living in New York City at the time. And he's like, all right, what's going on? Like I'm like, what? And like in my head, I'm like, I ain't getting married. Like, that's not happening. But, he kind of convinced me to come down. And, our first year of marriage was really difficult because I still hadn't, faced my traumas. And I didn't understand where all this anxiety was coming from until I really started looking into myself. So, Lou stuck with me for, years of me being difficult, not because of anything he did, just because I had all these...
Breaking all these binds within yourself.
Yeah.
Generational curses and
exactly.
traumas that you didn't even realize, and maybe stuff that you suppressed for many years, and it's coming up.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
And that's what emotional intelligence does for you when you start studying it. And I started reading so many books. And I remember the first book I read, Lovability by Robert Holden. And it's like talking about loving yourself and forgiving up. And I was like, it was literally like, oh my gosh, this is me. And it's like, yes, there is, there's hope.
Yeah. So what does loving yourself mean to you now?
Taking care of myself, my health, my free time, respecting my time. I'm a big family person.
One for me.
So Lou and I do a lot together. We've done a lot with our kids because both Lou and I, we grew up from broken homes, and we didn't want that for Joey and Mateo. So since Mateo's been an infant, I mean, first time he was in Italy, he was 9 months. So,
nice. That's your favorite place, Positano,
every summer. And so we do a lot of family things together. I stopped working when Lou and I got married, but still I still didn't learn the balance. I don't like using the word balance, but just learning how to still take care of myself because I was so focused on taking care of the kids and Lou and our home and whatnot. And then, like you said, like it wasn't until like my 40s, I was like, wait a minute, I have to take care of me too. In terms of loving myself, and we have to be careful not to think that loving yourself is being selfish. It's not. Some people think it is, and they're like, no, like just because you get married and you have a family doesn't mean you give up everything. And if you have a supportive partner and you learn to communicate it in a healthy manner to help them understand, because Lou didn't understand at first when I started speaking. He's like, why do you need to do this? Like, we have, we're financially abundant, like we're very secure. I'm like, no, but I've been taking care of everybody. I need to do something for me. And it brings me joy.
And for others.
Yeah. Like it really, like my event, the first year I did, he's like, why are you doing this? Why are we spending this money? Who are these people? And I said, you know what? I enjoy it. I enjoy seeing women get together and having a good time.
And we enjoy it too.
Right?
Because it is so much fun.
It is.
You got the snacks and the treats and the vibes
better
and
this
the convos.
summer.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait. I can't wait.
I'm working on some things. But so that, even though I'm giving to others, I feel like I'm also taking care of myself and loving myself.
Absolutely. Because you're pouring on to others, and you're just going to attract abundance and more love, and that's just the best feeling.
And, I do get it back. Like when I get texts or emails saying how much They enjoy the event. You know, I love being there. Thank you for including me. That makes me feel really good because I feel like I'm doing something good. I mean, as a child, I was in high school, you know, when I was teasing about how I was like the nerd, I'm like, I was never chosen. Like, you know, like when you were in gym class and they would pick teams, I was always the last one.
Really? No way. You weren't athletic?
No.
You seem athletic.
Not at all. Not at all. Okay. So to combat the lack of athleticism I have, when I was 40, I ran my first half marathon.
Ooh,
because I'm like, well, I can't play any type of sports. And then I did a whole bunch of them. I had like, I don't know, like 20 medals.
Wow. And now you're training with a Navy SEAL?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So
there's always hope for us.
There is. Well, he's cool. We met at we did a speaking engagement together.
Cool.
In Chicago.
I followed him. Him and his daughter are amazing.
Oh my God, Emily, she's cute. So they live in Hawaii. Cool. But we met in Chicago, and that was a whole new experience because it was all men.
Oh wow.
And it was all military men, and it was all male speakers, and then me.
Wow.
And at first I turned it down. I'm like, it's not really my audience.
Yeah, like, what am I, the entertainment?
Yeah. Like, I don't know how to fit in or how my husband would feel about this. Right. And then the guy who was running the event did a Zoom call with me. And he's like, you don't understand, Inez. Like, me and my wife, you know, we looked over your website and we spoke to Erica, who runs the Speakers Bureau I'm part of. And we really, like, we want you. We want you. And I was like, all right. It was like a 3-day event. I'm like, I'll go there for 2 days. Cool. How about if I just, and he's like, all right, we'll have you speak the first 2 days. But I said, but it's Labor Day weekend. I want to get home with my family. And he's like, all right. As fate would have it, Mateo actually asked to come with me the week of.
Nice.
And then he came, which was the best thing ever because he got to hear all these strong men speak.
Nice.
And for many years, I did nonprofit work where I hired celebrities to be our speaker. I said, if I knew that these group of men existed as speakers, I would have hired them in a heartbeat. Yeah. Because they're just so passionate. They talk about their failures, what they've done for our country, what they've sacrificed in their lives.
That's amazing.
I mean, like, you're like crying listening to each one. So I had put on, like, you know, my COVID weight, and I've tried everything to get it off, and I'm not disciplined enough. I just didn't have the right tools. So I was like, you know what? I need help. So, you know, I was following William as well, and he was talking about something, and I messaged him. I was like, hey, could you help me lose like 30 pounds? And he goes, call me. I'm like, okay. And right away, he just put me, I said, listen, I'm a good student, so you have to look at me like I have to look at you as my teacher. I said, because I never want to like, I like to be the straight A student. So he gave me a plan. He put me in baby steps. We started with like how to eat properly, you know. He wanted me to increase my protein, and then he did like little exercises with me to build upon. And said, "You got to go to the gym." And I'm like, I'm like, I don't do the gym. He's like, well, you're gonna have to eventually go to the gym. I'm like, I haven't been in the gym in 15 years, dude. Like,
what?
It's not happening. Yeah,
How?
no. And he's like, all right, let's just start with like sit-ups. And I'm like, all right, I can do that. So he's like, and we're doing Zoom calls. He goes, do one right now. I'm like, what? And he's like, put your laptop on the floor, show me a sit-up. I was like, fine. Feeling all stupid. I couldn't get up.
Stop.
I could not get up. It was the most humiliating thing ever. And I'm like, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm not getting up. And he's like,
oh my gosh.
And people start with crunches.
Yeah. Right.
And then he's like, I'm like, okay. And he's like, I want you to do 3 sets of 20 crunches, and I want you to do like sit-ups, push-ups and squats. And he just literally just started with me like 3 sets.
Baby steps.
And I was like, okay. It was torture for me to do the crunches, but within a couple weeks I was able to do a full sit-up, and now I could do like I did my sit-ups before I came here. I could do my 50 sit-ups like no problem.
Nice.
Now. And so it's exciting to see the progress. So he was still trying to get me in the gym. I'm like, no.
That's awesome.
So he had an event in Jersey, and I was like, oh, he's like, all right, I'm gonna come to your house and take you to the gym.
Oh wow. Did he?
He did.
How was it?
It was awesome.
Don't you love it?
At first, Matea's like, wait a minute, Mom. Daddy's going to let you go to hang out at the gym with a Navy SEAL? I'm like, you met William. You know William. He's harmless. He's like, all right, whatever. And I mentioned it to Lou. He's like, sure, I need to meet the man that actually got my wife working out.
Right, thank him.
So
good handshake.
The two of them met, obviously. You know, they hit it off. And then he's like, all right. I'm like, all right, I'm joining Planet Fitness. There's a new Planet Fitness by my house. That's where we're going.
Nice.
He's like, okay. I mean, he stuck out like a sore thumb there, which was hysterical. Right. And he had me in there for like 2 hours he like had like 18 different exercises and went over every single one with me. I videotaped him doing every one so when I go to the gym now, I'm like pulling out my phone like, all right, that's how I do that machine.
That's adorable.
Yeah.
Do you feel more confident now in the gym?
A little bit.
Okay.
The first time I went by myself, I basically had an anxiety attack. I don't know what it's not like I had any trauma at the gym, but it was just so weird. And
it's nerve-wracking if you don't know what you're doing.
It was.
People
I
feel
felt
that way.
stupid, like pulling out my little piece of paper with my things and then looking on the videos on how to do the exercises. Well,
but you're doing it.
I'm doing it now.
That's what matters.
And I left him. I ended up like making a video message for him after the first day I went by myself. And I'm like, William, I just went by myself. I'm having an anxiety attack. It totally sucked. I hated every second of it. Have a nice day. Bye. Really? And he like wrote me back. He's like, Inez, it's okay. You know, I felt like this too. I'm like, yeah, you're such a liar. I'm like, you're a Navy SEAL. You didn't feel like this the first time you worked out. But he's very supportive.
But you know what? I commend you for doing it.
Thank you.
And a lot of times we have to eat that frog, right? Do the things that we don't like. Do the things that make us uncomfortable because that's where growth is.
Yeah, and that's it. And it's funny because that's what Mateo said to me. So he's like, Mom, if you want to grow, you got to face your challenges. I'm like, blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Speaking of challenges, I just started taking private lessons with a world champion salsa dancer, Eli Torres. Shout out. So I'm feeling the same thing, like a little discomfort. Yeah. Feel silly dancing with him, but I want it to be better. So I, contacted the best of the best.
That's awesome.
Check me out in a couple weeks, couple months. I'll be.
I love it. How long have you been with him?
Dancers. I've done 2 lessons so far with him.
Okay.
And then I have a lesson today with him.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. And I love trying new challenges. I think it's so important to just try new things. You never want to stay the same. You always want to keep evolving. Never.
And I was mentioning, I just got back from a retreat.
A
women's retreat in South Carolina. It's called Warrior Women.
Ooh.
And it's this girl from Texas that started it. And they had this all-women's retreat at this training facility. It's called the Sawmill Training Complex in South Carolina. And it was great. They had this big lodge. We slept in bunk beds, which was hysterical. I've been in a bunk bed since I was 10. We all ate together. We prayed together. I mean, it was just a very beautiful, strong, supportive group of women. There was 36 of us. No drama whatsoever, which was beautiful. And, they had ex-Marines that ran it, and they taught us how to properly use my firearm. I have one, but it's just sitting in the box. I'm like, what good is it there? I needed to be comfortable with it. And they were the best teachers. They got each and every one of us comfortable with it. Nice. By the second day, I was just doing everything on my own.
That's what's up. Yeah. And how often do these conferences come about?
Twice a year.
You'll have to let me know if you go again.
Yeah. I will.
Because I don't know how to work a gun.
No. These were the best teachers. I love them. They're so kind. And then they taught us self-defense. I could freaking put somebody out in a headlock now.
Oh, nice.
It's great. Interesting. But it's good. And then they did scenarios, which they didn't tell us they were doing at the end. They made us walk outside. They handed me a gun, and I was like, okay. And the girl's like, just walk outside and walk towards the car. I'm like, that's all you're telling me? She's like, And she goes, there's blanks in the gun. I was like, okay. She's like, if you're gonna shoot, just shoot in the chest. I'm like, I'm really getting nervous. So
they just mock a hijack or something?
She's like, go outside. So it was me and Monica. We walk outside. We're walking towards the car, and within seconds, these 2 big guys show up behind us. Like, hey, ladies, trying to get our attention. And they're wearing masks, and they're coming close. And I'm like, stand back. And the one guy's holding an axe. I don't know why he was holding an axe. I saw the axe. It freaked me out. So I held up my gun, and I'm like, he's like, you're not going to shoot me. He's like, you're not going to use that. So I shot him. And I was like, oh. And I'm like, listen, Mr. Axeman. Oh, jeez. The guy was like, and I'm like,
that's extreme.
They wanted to show us how quickly somebody could, if you're going to your car.
Quickly go wrong.
Right. But I said, but in reality, I'm like, I'm not holding a loaded gun walking to the car from ShopRite. And he was like, well, that's why you're supposed to yell, stand back. I'm like, well, I would have yelled stand back, but you were holding an axe and coming at me. So I was like, no.
You were like, yo,
You know,
that's
and
hilarious.
it's like, it was funny at the time, but they just wanted to show the seriousness of like always being aware of your surroundings, maintaining distance between you and a stranger if somebody's coming at you, you know, yelling, trying to get attention. You know, so it's like scary
it's a
stuff.
lot. Damn.
But
Wow.
I was like, oh my God, maybe
Some
I should.
good training right there.
It was, but it was definitely eye-opening because, you know, a lot of us, like, we're looking at our phones, walking to our car, we're not paying attention, and something we think it can't happen to us, but obviously it happens every day.
Right.
So we have to be aware. But yeah, that definitely took me out of my comfort zone. That's not me at all. But I went there to the event with zero anxiety because I said, I'm going there with an open mind, and I'm here to learn, I'm here to make new friends, and that's exactly what happened.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
I got to try something like that.
I'll let you know the next one.
So I got to ask you because I'm sure everybody wants to know.
Okay.
What is your ethnicity?
Number one question. I like to joke around sometimes. I'm like, I'm Russian, can't you tell? Puerto Rican and Chinese.
Wow. Yeah. Say that in the camera.
I am Puerto Rican and Chinese, half and half.
Beautiful.
Two islands, right? Puerto Rico, and actually my mom grew up in Taiwan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So can you speak Chinese?
I used to.
Really?
I used to speak fluently. I used to read, write, and speak. I went to first grade in Taiwan.
Really?
Uh-huh.
That is so cool.
Yeah. It comes back slowly. Like if we go to a Chinese restaurant in the city somewhere and they don't really speak English, and I'll try and say, I'll be like asking for something in English and they're not responding, and I'll just say it in Chinese, but then they get all excited.
And then keep going.
Full-blown conversations. I'm like, stop!
Wow. That's so cool.
But like the one day we were in a restaurant in Philly and I was asking for chopsticks and she didn't know what chopsticks was, which I was surprised. And I like mumbled kwaizi, which is chopsticks, and she heard me and I was like, shoot, I said it too loud. She came like running back with a full-blown conversation. And I'm always like saying, and I'll say it in Chinese. I'm like, no, I don't understand you. Like, it's been a long time.
Right, a little rusty.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
So, what else? What else would you like to share with the audience?
Well, I'm definitely, right now I'm really focusing, just my son is going to college next year.
Nice.
So I only have like a
Congrats.
year and a half left with him.
Aww.
And
then you're free.
I am. I'll be traveling a lot more, that's for sure. But I'm holding on because my older son's 31, so I it goes by really fast.
And he just got married.
He just got married.
Beautiful girl.
She's from Bolivia, and
With the purses, she sells really nice purses.
She's the most amazing daughter-in-law I can have.
She's
Perfect.
sweet.
I'm very blessed. So I'm really just focusing on family, but in the meantime, I'm just like planting my little seeds here and there because I want to really get back into my speaking, doing my workshops, and of course, this summer I will be having my 4th Core Women's Network event. And
can't wait.
Yeah, Christmas was nice with all the pretty pictures.
And the homeless hermits.
Yeah, Hermits Helping Homeless, which is my son's organization at school. They were very grateful. They gave out every single blanket with the exception of
like
one.
Over like 600 they got.
No,
it,
not that much.
Donated? Oh.
No, it was like over 100, but they gave them out, and my son's still making sandwiches for them, which is great.
That's so nice.
And it was really nice. It's funny because I thought about this when I was in South Carolina the other day. We were some girlfriends and I, we went to a restaurant for lunch before we went to the airport. And in South Carolina, oh my God, the people are so nice there. Even the homeless people are so sweet.
Really?
We're eating outside and this like sweet little homeless man. Like the waitress dropped some of the utensils when she was clearing our table. And a homeless man like went over to like help her pick it up. And I think he wanted my girlfriend's sandwich. Like she didn't finish eating it. She only ate half. And he was like looking at it. But the waitress kind of just scurried back into the restaurant. And we looked over at him and he was like, oh, I'm sorry to disturb you ladies. We're like, oh, we appreciate you helping. And then my one girlfriend's like, are you hungry? Like, could we get you something to eat? And he was like, yes, please. And he was so polite. And she's like, is a cheeseburger and fries good? He's like, I would love that. And then we weren't at McDonald's. We were like in a nice restaurant. And so she ordered it for him. And
wow.
we gave him some bottles of water. And he was just like so grateful and sweet. And, we just came, like a lot of us have to do a lot of things with veterans. They're like, so many of these homeless people are veterans. And it's
so true.
Like how? Like why is this even happening? So, we're very aware of, who these people are and when they're around us and not to be so quick to judge. I mean, obviously if they're coming towards you, you want to be careful, but it was just, I'm really proud of my son to be doing this with Angels in Motion, which is in Atlantic City. Lisa B runs it, and she was our speaker for the Christmas event. But as beautiful as the Christmas event was, it was a lot of work. Kind of through my own personal Christmas stuff. We're going back to summer for sure. So I'm already in the process of working for the summer event.
Oh, nice.
Which will be exciting. But, I just really want people to, and something, you've been in my events, I really want to stress for women to really learn to build relationships. And the event I was just at in South Carolina, we really built these 36 women. I didn't get to personally speak to every single one, but a good half of them, I got to really get to know. And we are really building this beautiful relationship together. And that's what I want out of my event too, because we're all in the same vicinity. I mean, this event, there's women from all over the country. The one at my event, we're all within the tri-state area. And we could really help one another.
Yeah.
Or if
support each other, encourage each other, listen to each other, bring each other up. That's so important. We don't have to be competition all the time.
Yes.
And healthy competition maybe, but I love that you support just uplifting women. That's so important to me too.
And I just want more women to just not be afraid to do it. I see, you're always going to get bad apples here and there. And, it still happens to me to this day. I tell the younger ones, it doesn't end. It just doesn't. But that's their own insecurities. Yeah. The best thing we could do is just be secure within ourselves and really love, really just build upon. And because then through you, I met you through Monica, so that was Monica sharing her friendship.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to do.
So grateful. Yeah. It's amazing. And I'm so blessed to call you my girlfriend and Monica. And I've met so many amazing people through you guys. And it means so much to me. And now you're here on my show. And that's how friendship should be. We should always just support each other and truly help. I feel sometimes it'd be the closest people to you that aren't supportive. And then it's the new friends that you meet through amazing people that, do more for you.
And everybody has a story, right?
Everyone has a story.
We all do. And it's not I'm going to meet you and tell you everything in 5 seconds.
Right. But you might, because we have that effect on people.
Right,
It makes people feel comfortable.
That's true too. But, we have to understand that, each one of us have even our traumatic stories it turns into something beautiful.
Exactly.
I don't have any type of resentment towards the things I went through. Even my ex, my son's father, I don't have any resentment towards him. I don't have resentment towards my mother leaving. I've healed from that because you have to remember they were processing based on the tools they had.
Exactly.
They didn't heal their own traumas. And sometimes you just have to be the one that breaks the mold in the family. And Lou and I are very blessed that I broke the mold in my family. He broke it in his. So we came together. Now we're raising 2 very healthy, independent boys.
And making a huge impact on the community.
I'm trying.
And you're changing your world. And that's beautiful.
And that's the best thing. That's the best compliment. That's the best feeling to have. I enjoy seeing people happy.
I love that.
And I'm so proud of you. My gosh, what you're building here and the positive impact you're making in the world and for other women and for everybody that is around you. You're just a breath of fresh air. And it's a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Inez. Thank you for being a guest on my show today. Where can everyone find you?
Well, you can find me on my website. It's my name. It's super easy. Inez Barberio, www.inezbarberio.com. And then the only social media platform I have is Instagram. I have 2 accounts. I just started the work one a few months ago, which is my Inez_Barberio and then Positano Dreamer, because as you know, I visit Positano every summer, and that's more like a fun travel lifestyle page.
I gotta visit you there.
You have to.
You make it seem so dreamy.
You know what? Talking about building relationships, a guy that we met there, that we built a relationship with, he looks up to Lou like his dad, which is really cute. And he flew in from Positano. He came and watched the Super Bowl with us at our house.
Wow.
And I'm looking at him it's so weird to see you in my home. I'm so used to seeing you in Italy, and here you are in my home.
So he should totally buy a house and, tell him to give me a call.
Well, he met a girl, so that's why he came. And hopefully, I really like his girlfriend, so they met. And so hopefully something will happen.
Okay, send the referral my way.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again, and I love you.
Thanks.
You're the best.
Your turn. That was fun.
I have